I always believe in big risks and big rewards. And that's what I do even today. And that's what I did 10 years back when I, quit my job quickly. And nothing's easy. Nothing's going to come to you. You have to go out and get it. And you have to go out and get it with all your might and all your energy. Entrepreneurship is 10 times more difficult than being an employee, but it's also 10 times more fulfilling.
This is episode 2 of Dream 100 Show with Mr. Bharat Sethi. Welcome to the Dream 100 Show listeners. I'm your host Savita Hosamane.
And I'm your co-host Gunjan.
Each week, we interview today's most successful and inspiring business owners with winning teams
who had the courage to chase their dreams in spite of all the challenges.
Join us as we bring you everything that goes on in the minds of successful business owners during decision-making process.
And gain insights to make smarter decisions.
In today's episode, we talk to Mr. Bharat, who is a serial entrepreneur with a vision to create a 500 crore annual recurring revenue company by 2025 in the FMCG space. He started his business journey at the age of 16 in the year 2006. He founded PosterGully in the year 2012, India's first online market space, mainly for artists and designers to create, showcase, and sell their work. Eventually, PosterGully got acquired in the year 2016. He then founded iDecorema, an online B2B e-commerce market space, which was much ahead of its time and the market was not ready.
He quickly changed gears and went ahead to build the next-gen FMCG company, Rage Coffee, after a lot of market research. Rage Coffee manufactures and sells different coffee products that is instantly consumable, affordable, and is convenient to carry in biodegradable tube shots. In this episode, we dive deep to unearth insights of challenging situations, defining and lighter moments of his brand building journey that truly stands the test of time.
So let's get started now. Welcome to the Dream 100 Show, Mr. Bharat Sethi. We are highly excited to meet you and have you on our show.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Would you tell us a bit about your childhood and how was it like growing up? What did you dream of becoming as a child?
Too many tough questions too soon. I don't know. I honestly, my childhood was pretty good. I'd say that I was a very, now I can think of it like that and, structure it like that. But at that time, you don't even realize, right, what's out there. But now I think that it was very disciplined, a lot of good parenting and, a lot of adrenaline, a lot of action throughout the day. So, I would play a lot of sports. I was very good in academics. And the only way I could actually go out and play sports was if I finished my homework before 4 p.m. or, before the sun went down. I had to finish my homework and be able to go out. That's only when my mom would allow me to do. Just this, I think, a lot of thrilling adventures as a child with the family, with sports, with school. So a normal childhood, so to speak. But as I grew, I realized that I had a lot of leadership skills. So I tried to make sure that I utilized them. So I became the head boy of my school, for example. I was the captain of my school football team. So I think, that was something that I realized very quickly in my life, that I can condense information and analyze information better than others. And I was more practical in my life, and I could, lead a team, and I could lead people to believe in me somehow, or to believe in what I was doing.
Okay, so that means you identified your leadership skills at a very young age. Did you know that you had the skills, or it was just a part of your nature?
It's hard to say what came earlier, but I feel I was born like that, because my mom tells me that she stopped teaching me when I was in the first grade because I would not listen to her. And I would go out and ask other people because I considered her to not know that particular question. So I would do all and take all of those steps. But from what I understand is that it's only, when I was 10, 11 is when I really started to acknowledge the fact that, all right, you have to fight for what you want. There's nothing's easy. Nothing's going to come to you. You have to go out and get it. And you have to go out and get it with all your might and all your energy. That's why for the longest time, I never believed in karma. I always believe in karma, but not in luck, for example, not in destiny. I always believed that because what I went out for, and if I went with all my might after it, I most often got it. If I didn't get it, then it meant that I was not trying too hard for it. In my childhood, at least, what I saw was that if I wanted something, I went ahead and get it. And many times I failed, obviously. And then I realized that I didn't do well enough in my attempts.
To put it in a term, it is called as being total in what you're doing. So you mean to say that when you put your totality, 100% totality into it, you were able to achieve. And when you felt that you were not total in what you were doing, it didn't happen? Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's true even today, very much true even today. A lot of people believe that there is a factor of uncertainty, which always is there. You cannot take away from that fact. But I've seen that someone's life, when they do too many experiments over time, and when they attempt at something, or when they have too much going on, they start to rationalize their behavior by saying that, this cannot be luck. Got to be something more logical. Because if you're doing one or two things, then, you could say that, okay, 50% probability. But if you're doing 10 different things and you're trying to do, a lot of different things at one point in time, so you realize that it's only those efforts which you really went after is what you really, and which you really manifested yourself are the outcomes that you got eventually. So I think, so it really depends from a person to person, but I mostly believe in this theory.
So any particular dream you had as a child?
I had many dreams. I don't know where to start. My football was my first love in life. So I, for the longest time, wanted to go and play football in some European club. That's what I had for the longest time. Then it was also, become a scientist for some time because I was fascinated with physics. Some things which to an outsider, it would feel like I'm trying too much. Like I would, as I just mentioned, like football, right? And then academics. And then I was doing too many things. I had this dream of going to the Derek O'Brien show. And I tried like at least for 4 years. And from 6th till 10th grade, I tried. And, I would always represent my school in these, zonal competitions, but never made it to the TV show. So those were things like to go for the spelling bee that happened. Then I wanted to do a lot of sports and just too many things. That's what my life was. I was not focused. I was like trying to do everything that I could.
So if we're not wrong, you were working at first. So what was it like being an employee?
Oh my God. Wonderful question. You've hit the nail on the head. Some people are brilliant employees, and it's very important to go out and see that world for yourself. And I would never discount the importance of working in a team and working under good leadership, working under a good management, working on great things as a team. There are some people who are not cut out for being employees. I realized that again very quickly. I was much better off failing for many years in my early days of my career than being an employee somewhere where I had to go through the staircase, which was very slow for my taste, and too bureaucratic at times, or too corporate at times for me. So, but I would never take it away that it was also because I never got the care of a good leader, a good manager. And, I don't have much to say, and I would not make any judgments. And I would honestly want everyone to definitely not start up like right out of the college, or those were some mistakes that I made there. Some experience really helps, but honestly, like it's all your DNA. if you have the DNA of an entrepreneur, of a business person, or of an academician, for example, then an employability will not, make you, will keep you satisfied for long. I always believe in big risks and big rewards. And that's what I do even today. And that's what I did 10 years back when I, quit my job quickly. And I had 3 jobs in 1.5 years. So it was like embarrassing also for everyone around me, because what was I doing? Nobody could really understand why I was not happy with 3 different companies, for example. But I realized it.
So what was it that you realized, that why you were not happy?
I had no problems working for someone. To be honest, it was never the problem. The challenge was that it was very slow for my appetite, for my aptitude. If I am somebody who has the potential to impact a particular outcome, then I should be given the chance to do it. And I don't believe in rules. I've broken all rules that I could in my life. So, and when you are in a setup, you have to live by the rules and do everything by the rules. In retrospect, rules are very important. So I'm not saying that, do go out and, be stupid. No, that's not the point. The point is that there was no guidance also. There was lack of guidance at my end that, what I should do. So I just went with my gut and I did what I did to de-risk myself. Actually, it was the best way to de-risk myself, because if I ended up doing that for long, it would be hard for me to get out of that system, because I would go into that rut which everyone goes to. So for me, I was just de-risking myself essentially.
You started off on the path of entrepreneurship. So what were the challenges you faced then? Now that you shifted from being an employee and you realized that you had certain capabilities, and now you feel that, yes, now I have to go out in the world. What were the challenges?
At first, I didn't realize the challenges were far and plenty. At first, it was a lot of fun, because I had no big aspirations with my entrepreneurship journey. I was just trying to, do it as a side project, to just be able to make enough money that I was making in my job, or just have the freedom to do something on my own, and, have enough time for myself, because I was working really long hours and I had started something on the side. So initially it was just to feel good. I don't know. There were many factors. It was the lack of leadership in my company, or it was other things, or it was lack of interesting work, or not being treated as somebody important in the company. Initially it was fun. Initially it was a relief for the first couple of months. And then it started to obviously hit. But what happened with my journey was that I de-risked myself by taking the plunge into entrepreneurship then, by building something on the side. And I was working late nights for that. So what happened was I was working on the side, and I essentially just moved when I got the best chance to do, when I saw that this could be something. So first couple of months were decent, fun, relief, happy. But then it started to hit me that, this is something important. It's 3 or 4 employees by then. I wanted to make sure that we were getting salary. So all of the challenges of entrepreneurship really hit me only, I think, about 6-7 months later, when we started to see some scale, when we started to see that, it's not going to be a one-person company anymore. We needed more people. We needed more hands to scale. We had expectations from customers. And that's when I realized that entrepreneurship is 10 times more difficult than being an employee, but it's also 10 times more fulfilling. And that's the call that somebody has to take. It's not about the work. It's not about, being heard, or, it's none of that. In fact, your accountability goes up instantaneously, because earlier you were just accountable for your work, but here you are accountable for everyone's work. You're accountable for vendor relationships, customers, and financial planning, and and then on top of it, you're also accountable to your family members. That also becomes an important part as you take up entrepreneurship, because it's a risky proposition for everyone involved. I was very young, so it didn't matter much, this aspect, but the challenges started to come later on. And then I think there was a phase when it was very challenging, and I realized that I needed some, external guidance and mentorship. And I started to go out and look for mentors, and I started to talk to fellow founders. So that was very helpful. But overall, I never thought of it as challenging. It was just the path that I took. I was committed to the path, and entrepreneurship kept on becoming more and more challenging, but it kept on becoming more and more fun and fulfilling also. So it's the journey that one takes, right?
Yeah, like from what I understand is your first venture, this PosterGully, it got acquired. So what was
Yes.
the feeling? What is excitement, or was there a feeling that because you said you already had team members also, so did they feel bad that you're letting go of them? So what was that feeling?
Actually, the feeling was mixed because we scaled really fast. PosterGully, all of this I was telling you was in 2012. 4 years after that was we scaled and scaled and scaled, and we built a really efficient and really important business because it grew 10 times year on year. It was a very fast growing company, and this is like pre marketplaces in India, pre Amazon, and this is the time when there was nobody in the market doing what we were doing, and we really built a very cost efficient business which made money for everyone involved. I think it was, we were in that rapid growth phase for all of these years, and then we raised some capital, and then 2016 is when we're trying to raise more capital, and we got this acquisition offer, and it made sense to me at the time. It was also a burnout phase for me. I'd burnt out 4 years, and I wanted to work on different things by the time, and I wanted to do the foundation differently. So I thought it's a great, and it was a fantastic offer, right? It made financial sense. It made all the check boxes were ticked. But I never thought of it as letting down my team, and I've also not thought of businesses as assets. They're assets. They are not. You cannot be very emotional with businesses because when you get outside investors to be a part of your business, which is something that I've done, since my first business, it's important to understand the journey you have to take to give your investors returns. And it's important to understand that you have to keep getting more investors so that your early investors and everybody, all the stakeholders make money. And it's your fiduciary responsibility as the promoter of the company to do it. So it was not a bad feeling, or it was not a great feeling also, because I did not know how it would end up eventually, because the company was doing really well. It could have been, far bigger success. And today I can say that there were many mistakes I made, and selling PosterGully or going through that transaction was actually a mistake, given the companies that were in our space doing the same kind of numbers are now much, much bigger companies. So, but all in retrospect, right? What I'm building right now has the potential to even go bigger. But yeah, that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, good. Ultimately, like it is the growth which matters.
Yes.
So at that point of time, the growth mattered, and it was a good decision at that time. Great. Then you jumped on to iDecorema.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a small stint of 2 years.
It was a small stint, and one of the biggest learnings that I had by then as an entrepreneur was to learn quickly from the market, learn from the signals of the market. What I learned building that company was there was a lot of friction from the market. Like, we tried all the possible attempts to crack the market, and we had a product and we wanted to go out and sell the product, right? There was a lot of friction with all the stakeholders, with the architects that we were dealing with, the interior designers. There was friction from all corners, and it was ahead of its time, and the market wasn't ready to start paying for a product like that or a service like that. And we pivoted 2 or 3 times during that journey. We did have some good traction, but it wasn't fulfilling for me as a journey. It felt like we're going to meet too many roadblocks here, and it wasn't prudent of me, and it wasn't smart of me to continue in that space, because the space was limiting overall, and I did not find the space exciting in 15 months that I kind of worked on it, and I quickly changed gears. So yes, it was a very short stint, but it taught me a lot of failures, a lot of failed experiments, a lot of learnings with team management and people management and stuff like that. Because PosterGully was a fun ride. PosterGully was always north, going up, 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 up throughout 4 years. It was only going north. And this was something that was from day one, it was going south. It was like a completely different journey. And I did not take any break, which was the biggest mistake I made, because I did not get any time to ponder upon the market, and I did very little research before entering the market. And time teaches you, and these are some of the learnings that I have, because the macro is far more important for an entrepreneur than the micro. Micro is in your control, but doesn't it doesn't lead to the outcomes that you want. The macro leads to the outcomes you want, because you have only 12-15 hours in a day. You have only limited capital, limited time. The macro has to point in a certain direction for you to get accelerated success with businesses. And that's what those were some of the learnings that I applied to Rage.
So how did you get the idea for Rage Coffee and what is it all about?
So the idea with Rage was, I wanted to build this digitally native FMCG company. So that was the big, bold idea that I had, which was that everything is moving online, right? Everything, like you can buy electronics, and this is 2017. So you can buy your electronics or, apparels, and everything under the sun is now available online, and customers were getting mature. There was only one category which was very underpenetrated and which seemed to me like the biggest growth category, given what you see in the US markets or in the China market, in more mature markets, so to speak. And this was the grocery category. Now, grocery has it is the biggest category overall within retail as well. And what we wanted to kind of do was to create the next generation of FMCG companies, because what we thought was that since everybody is moving online, brand building and acquisition and brand influence will also move online eventually. So there will be these large brands that will stay on your mobile, will stay on your screens. Doesn't matter where you find them. I mean, you can also find them in your retail shops, and you can also find them in airports, and you can also find them in your next door neighborhood stores, and you can also find them online. But the brand building, which is the brand creation, will primarily happen online. This was the big, bold idea. Did a lot of number crunching, and I felt like I could build a 500 crore top line company in 6-7 years if we really did well. And if we put all of our, if we put all of our eggs in one basket and we really went all in, we could build that, that particular category out. And then we had to find this category which was underpenetrated and which had all the potential of growth online. So coffee fell at the right intersection of a personal passion, first of all. So it was something that I was passionate about, but I did not want to make the same mistakes of passion, right? I wanted to go and research the market. So I spent one entire year, 2018, in just building the setup, building the backend, getting to build the most differentiated product in this category. We wanted to own this particular category and then build subcategories that we would own eventually. And we wanted to build an international quality product so that we could also export through online mediums. We could also set up our cross-border e-commerce through this product. And we had big aspirations, and we fulfilled most of them. In fact, had the idea, which now is becoming very popular, of having multiple warehouses in different countries and having a single, website, depending on your IP, it would route you to that particular subdomain. And then you can buy these products, and these products would just sit in these dark warehouses across the globe. And some of the companies globally which are now multi-million-dollar companies, are doing this right now. And we also started to do this as we speak. And we've gone to UK, we've gone to Europe, we've gone to USA. Amazon is kind of facilitating this a lot now. But yeah, those were the the big, bold ideas at the time. And we started selling commercially in January of 2019. And since that day, we've done fairly well.
So I understand that there was a lot of research which was done before you actually launched it.
So you traveled across Europe, is that right?
I have traveled to about 19 countries, but that particular year, I spent almost about 3 months traveling. In fact, that entire year I was traveling within India, outside of India. I took 2 trips to Europe, and I also visited a lot of farms in South India, because we were trying to source. And then when we were sourcing, we wanted to make sure that we have the best product available, and we continued to find the right vendors. I did a lot of trips around North India, but those were mostly train trips and those were mostly by road. But yeah, I was on the go. I was on the road. I took about 62 flights that particular year. I remember. It's a fun fact, but it was crazy.
When you were doing this research, you would go to cafes, taste the coffee, and then go back to the owner and would you ask them like where are they sourcing from? Was that the kind of research that you did?
No, never done that. I knew, what a great cup of coffee tastes like. So I did not have to go to a cafe to know that. So most of our research was built around knowing your customer, knowing the market and the gap that we were building, which was that we launched flavors. We launched a turbocharged based coffee. We launched a health and wellness driven coffee. We launched the world's first PET biodegradable tube shots, which is a packaging innovation. We basically completely deconstructed the supply chain of how instant coffee is made, and we went to the source and we went to the ingredients, which nobody did. Which nobody even took the pain, because it is a very complex category, first of all, to get into. It's governed by the actions of two large players and which own almost 75% of the market. It is also the category which has the highest rewards, because it is, if you are able to actually break into this category, you are looking at a sizable number, and you are also able to influence people at home, which is where we wanted to go. Build a large brand, you have to go to people's homes. Large brands are not built out of home. That's what we believe in. And this was some of the insights that I had, from my experience and from what I've seen my family businesses. It was important for me to do this. So most of my research was around the gaps of the market, the supply chain, the technicalities. And the second part was around the consumer preferences. What do the consumers want? How much are they willing to pay? What kind of a product would they be willing to pay a premium for, a slight premium for example, and just, their taste preferences and their buying behaviors and all of those things.
Okay, so here I want to understand that there are a lot of coffee machines, very well-known coffee machines, branded coffee machines. So is Rage coffee powder or coffee pods compatible with those machines? Are the global market also accepting it with the same intensity with which the Indian market would have accepted it?
See, the thing is that we wanted to uncomplicate coffee. Our goal was to really make coffee simple. We did not want to create a product that, a machine would need initially. We wanted to build something that was affordable, convenient, and upgraded an average consumer. That was our goal, because we really believed in all of the research that we did. We came out with the fact that, yes, this is the most challenging and complex category. But if you have to win in this space, you have to first crack this category and then go on to build other categories, which are roast and ground or cafes or whatever you want to do. But you have to build the brand here first, because you have to go to people's homes. That's what we did. The machine business, that's not of prime importance for us right now. We are in the FMCG space. So that's what we've done. Yeah.
What was your first taste of success like?
With Rage?
Yes.
The first taste of success was, from a point of view of the brand, it was just the idea, just the fact that I was looking and skimming through so many of these ideas, right? And so many of these different possibilities. Just the fact that there is something out there which I know I can build and I know I can scale was quite fantastic. Beyond that, the entire year when you were trying to figure out the product, there were many, many times that we were almost about to fail, or rather almost about to give up, because we would not get the possible products or ingredients and the packaging, and everything was a challenge. Every step where we went, you're trying to change the ecosystem, right? You're trying to change the habits of the manufacturers, habits of the testing facilities and everything. It was not just one thing. There's so many people, so many different agencies and so many different vendors involved in building this one product. And we had to find all of them. So I think a lot of the first, taste of success was before the launch. After the launch, it was, we knew what we had to do. We had to keep selling. So that's what we did.
After the product was launched, And then the people started accepting the product widely. And after that, you still did you have any challenges? Like as you said, there was some point where you felt like giving up. But after the product launch, do you feel that most of the research was done and you had come out with the final product, which was a ready to use product, or still there is some amount of research left?
No, I mean, there's only 1% of the work that you can do before the launch. A fundamentally differentiated product is just 1% of the work, but it is the most important work, because anything you do after that, marketing and sales and distribution, it's pointless if you don't have a great product. So the first important thing was to launch a great product, but that's only 1% of the work. I mean, our biggest challenges lie with the day-to-day, business that we do, which is marketing and sales and distribution. None of those challenges are going to undermine the success of the brand and the product. That's what we know for sure. So those are little experiments that keep going on. Some of them are big experiments which reap us big rewards, and that's how I look at it. So we continue to add distribution channels. We continue to do some amazing marketing campaigns. We have built a great team, for example. All of that have, come with a lot of hustle and with a lot of energy, and I would say many, many challenges. None of those challenges are big compared to what we had to go through before the launch, because there is a certain amount of uncertainty before launch and there is uncertainty after launch. The uncertainty after launch is very different. It is about pivoting. It's about running out of money. It's about different things. But the uncertainty before launch is nerve-wracking. It is something completely different, because a very valuable time in your life, for me personally, I would say that it was being spent on not knowing if I had something great with me. So it was different, but yeah, right now those challenges are different. We have a system, we have set up all of those things, but none of those challenges are big enough right now to stop us.
So coming to the team, what are few qualities that a winning team should have?
Great teams work on a common objective, a common goal. So I think what a winning team looks like is they work for the best outcome of the team and not for their individual outcomes. That's the most important thing. The moment any individual starts talking or thinking about themselves, then the team work gets affected. I had the displeasure of working with many, many such individuals, so I know very well how detrimental it can be to the success of the company. And it's very, 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 it's the most important thing. You talked about challenges. Like, the most important thing that I take utmost care of is anybody who joins us in the middle to senior management, I spent at least 6 to 7 calls. It might sound funny to anyone, but I do random calls at night, in the morning. I talk to them about their childhood, and I don't know, I talk to them about the girlfriends and boyfriends, and those are things. To somebody it might be personal, but I want to make sure that I have the best person in the team before the joining. And once they join, I don't talk for months. I can leave them completely alone. Doesn't matter what the outcome is, for a long time. I just want to give them a chance to be in a high performance team. I think with individuals, it's very important that they are motivated, self-motivated. They have the required skills, and their attitude is positive in life, and their attitude is positive, and they want to work towards a common goal. Beyond that, I think everything, a lot of things are skill dependent. A lot of them are ownership dependent. Overall, I feel great teams, work on, common objectives, and they really, each one of them knows their responsibilities really well.
How do you maintain the morale of the team?
I'm in a phase in my career where I don't work with low morale people. I'll be very honest with you. It might sound a little blunt, but I've done that for 10 years. I've been doing that. I make it a point to work with only self-motivated people now. What I do for that is there has to be, self-motivation. Once there is self-motivation, then my job is to inspire people, right? That I do all the time. To boost the morale of people, you have to be communicative. You have to keep giving them, something to chew on. You have to keep giving them great quality work, and you also have to identify what they want. you have to really have very high EQ as a leader to deal with such issues. If there is low morale in the team, or if somebody's going through any challenge, there is motivation, right? If the person or the individual is motivated, then you can do anything. Self-motivated mostly, you can give them the direction, you can do anything that you want, you can do anything. But I'm not a therapist, so I cannot motivate people out of some other issues that they're going through, or the other issues they have, or they really want. I've seen people who want to be an entrepreneur, who join teams, and they are building companies on the side for 2-3 years. I'm like, I quit my job in a couple of months after I started something, and you should just own up and accept it if you're doing that. Some people are continuously searching for jobs once they join a job. Some people are continuously looking for. If you know what you want, first of all, people should go and get to know what they want. If they're not sure, then they should give themselves some time. That's what I feel.
How has the whole COVID situation affected the business?
Well, for us, it has been quite good. We were very well placed because of the online and offline integrations that we have. So we were very well placed, and we really thought of it as an opportunity when COVID started, right? So when it started, we looked at it as an opportunity to serve people, because we realized that our biggest competition, which was coffee shops, was shut. So we made sure that we did a lot of marketing campaigns. We had the narrative about cafe like coffee. We had the narrative of an affordable cup of coffee going around, and we really had the best products out there to beat the market. And we grew 5 times last year from the previous year. This year we might even grow even higher, actually, as we're sitting on this month. So I think, we've looked at it as an opportunity rather than it as a challenge, or as a problem. Obviously, there were many challenges which we went through. We had 2 times we've gone through complete changing of the teams, because we moved into a new 10,000 square foot office recently, and we had to go through this entire change in the team because it's very far from where we were earlier. So we have done all of that. I don't know if we look at the serious challenges, because we've done it. I personally have done it so many times, and I have people who've done it many times, and I've been working with such people for a long time. So that's what I feel like. They were challenging, but it was otherwise, if you look at it, it was a very challenging time for business. Also, it was very challenging, and we tried to mitigate the risks of shutting down or closing by being really paranoid, and it helped.
So was there any lowest point in your life or in the business so far, the lowest one which you hit?
Oh man. Oh, many. But the lowest one is a good question. I think this was the time just before the launch of Rage Coffee. This was a time when I had run out of my money. I liked my experiences in life, and I came from this really good business that I built and exited, and then for 2 years I continued to lose money. And then Rage Coffee's idea, and the entire year that I was working, there were many low points throughout there, but the lowest one was possibly when I ran out of money, and I was continuously closing my fixed deposits, and I was withdrawing money from my FDs, and there was this one last FD which was left, which I thought I should not withdraw money from, and then tried to work around that particular thing and that particular situation, but it wasn't working out. So I think, but it eventually did work out. But those couple of days were very stressful. But mostly, never in this journey I questioned what I was doing. But that was the time I really questioned of what was I doing with, why was I taking so many risks, and why was I too convinced about what I had, and blah blah blah. So all of those things were there. But we launched Rage Coffee, and I think it has been a good ride since.
That's great. Yeah. So what's the best advice you've ever received?
Many of them. I really cannot tell you one, because there were so many of them. I've been very fortunate, very lucky that way of attracting really good people, reaching out to some really good people, some mentors who, Rage Coffee would not have been possible. You would not have known of Rage Coffee, and we would not be doing this if it was not for some really interesting people who I met and who believed in me. And these are people who are very senior people, are very well, they're aware of everything around them. They have very high deal flows, etc., when it comes to investing. So I feel like I've been very fortunate. I really cannot pinpoint, but I possibly in the last 1 or 2 years that I can tell you, maybe, I don't know, honestly. There's so I get too much advice now because I have so many people, involved in the business. And the best advice would be, if I have to say, would be that somebody telling me 10 years back when I was to quit my job and become an entrepreneur. Like, that's the best thing that I did. That's somebody would have definitely advised me. I don't know who, but somebody would have definitely advised me to, just go one day and write. What I did. I actually went and wrote to my manager. She was sitting in UK. She was in London, and I actually went to her and wrote, I would need a half day today and a half day, to go somewhere. And then she said no. Then I just wrote her that I am quitting then. And then, I'm sure somebody would have told me that this was a good move. That's why I did it. But yeah, no, I don't know. This advice from all corners, and some of them is on a daily basis. Some of them is really good advice.
So now, what advice would you give to someone who is starting a business or to the youth in general?
I don't know. Everyone has their journeys, and I really feel like go with your flow, right? Just go with your instinct. Your instinct is your best guide. If you feel there is, especially to youth, especially to people who are starting out, don't get bogged down by what somebody else is doing. If you really want something, and if your temperament and if your behavior and if your mind really wants it, go and get it. So do not think because of what's happening around you, or because it's fashionable, or because it's a fad, or because it's interesting, or because a YouTuber tells you to do it, you go out and do it. You really need to figure out, really need to spend time and figure out what you really want. The sooner you figure that out, the more successful you will be. If you look at all the successful people in the world, I've seen mostly those people started young. They started early, and they did not wait till their 30s to get, to really go into one particular. It could be any field. It could be arts. It could be culture, sports, business, academics. It could be anything. But the most successful people I've seen in the last 10 years, people in my college who, there are people who came in with one single mission of becoming an IAS officer, and they did. People who came with one single mission of becoming an environmentalist, they did. I think in my outlook, and I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So for me, I think there is only plan A. There is no plan B. If you have only one plan, then you will succeed. If not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe day after tomorrow, maybe in a couple of years. That's how I look at it.
Awesome. So anybody who influenced you majorly in your life?
I think it has to be my family, because I was always around them. So my family always influenced me. Every one of our families obviously influenced us the most. I think even with respect to business, I've seen a lot of people in my family running businesses. But I think there is a lot of learning that I got over time from my mentors and, people who I have had a good relationship with when it came to business. So yeah, I've not looked upon as a role model to someone. I keep learning from everyone. My biggest role models were in football. People like David Beckham and Messi and Ronaldo. Those were the people I really looked up to. That's what I think. But no name comes to my mind right now, because I think I've been influenced by a lot of different people at different phases and stages in my life. I'm usually very impressed by people who take fearless decisions. So I am a big fan of revolutionaries, and for example, Karl Marx, or the entire idea of capitalism. I was very influenced by that. A lot of writers, very influenced by them. So just generally, I have a lot of respect for people who go out and take some bold, fearless decisions. in retrospect, it seems like they would have done it and they would have won it, and they would have, if you really dig down, you realize that they just put everything on at stake and went and did it. And that's, that's something that really motivates me personally.
Any happy or funny incident in your business which brings a smile across your face every time you think about it?
Many of them, actually. I can tell you something that happened very recently. Over time, there were many incidents, I would say, that made me happy. But very recently, I remember when we were trying to raise capital for Rage Coffee, and we were trying, and this was about 1.5 years back, roughly, and we had some good traction, and we were looking to raise capital. And fundraising is a very strenuous path. It's sometimes excruciatingly painful for an entrepreneur, because they put everything at risk, and then they have to go out and seek, in the early days of their business, they have to go out and seek approval, validation, which is very painful, because the approval rate is 1% if you look at it. So I think when we raised that round, the day that round was finalized, I was in Chennai, and I got that email which committed, after this very long 3-4 months that you're trying to raise that capital, we got that round, we were committed, and we were then also oversubscribed for that round a couple of days from then. So I think those couple of days, those 6-7 days I very fondly remember those days, because it's validation, right? All those painful mistakes and those journeys that you've taken, they mean something when there is external validation for you, especially in terms of capital, because people are ready to believe in you for what you've done with their money, which is the biggest thing. So I think that time was very interesting, because we've gone out and raised even more capital after that, and right now we get capital from all sorts of places. But at the time, it was very special, because that's when we needed it the most.
Wow. I just want to understand, has searching for significance ended, or still is the journey on?
No, the journey is on. Significance is when Rage becomes a global brand, right? When everybody knows it, right? That's when significance sets in. Mm-hmm. Significance right now is very... Also, I would say that the search for significance is not absolute. I feel that it is still on, and it should be on, right? It should always be on. Otherwise, it would mean nothing, and it would actually be a disservice to what I'm doing.
Okay, so now we will have some rapid fire questions for you.
Oh my God. Okay.
So what are 3 qualities that you admire about yourself?
Resilience, passion, analytical behavior.
Great.
So do you think you have a sense of humor?
Very less compared to people around me. My sense of humor is mostly, it's just a little dark and sarcastic, which not many people appreciate.
Okay, on a scale of 10, how would you rate it?
4.
10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest.
Yeah.
4. Okay, great. What do you think are your weaknesses?
I think weaknesses, definitely the one that I know for sure is a lack of patience. So I think it has mostly helped me, but a lot of times it doesn't help also. But now, I've significantly improved on that front over time.
So what is one sentence that you tell yourself always to move ahead and to motivate yourself?
One sentence, I think, keep going. I think that's what I tell myself. This will pass, this too shall pass, or something like this, if there are not the best days. Mostly it's around trying to, it's a phase, whatever you're going through, it's a phase, and it will, if it's good, it'll go, it will never remain that way. If it's bad, that will also never remain that way. So that's what I, keep telling myself. So I'm not, too excited with success, never too bogged down by its failure. But it's also because I've seen both very closely. So I think now I look at it quite pragmatically rather than getting affected by any of those. But honestly, all of us get affected, but we should try not to. And that's what I keep telling myself.
Awesome. So with this, we come to the end of our questioning. If you feel that we have missed out on any question which would have added value, please go ahead and state it.
No, it was your interview. So, your show. So I had fun. So I hope people actually like it and they're able to, it is valuable for the time that they spend listening to this. And that's what I want. I mean, if anybody can learn anything from this, then, my time is well spent.
Well, I think definitely it would add a lot of value. We have all listed our takeaways also from this entire session. It was wonderful speaking to you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you so much. Thank you.
There are a lot of takeaways from this amazing conversation that we have just had. The top 3 takeaways which I would like to highlight are the first one being know what you want in your life. If you don't know, then give time to yourself and figure it out. Second one is that there is a lot to learn from failed experiments. So do not fear to fail, as failures are our biggest teachers. The third one, market research plays a very, very, very important role before you launch a new product or you want to start a new venture. So learn from the market before you just jump in. We would like to hear your biggest takeaway from this beautiful conversation. Go ahead and comment in the Dream 100 Show comment box on Instagram. We would love to hear your comments.
Never lose out on an opportunity to learn from the life lessons of real-time business owners on Dream 100 Show. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Dream 100 Show.
And now make a smart decision of taking the next step towards your dreams. We strongly believe that life is just a play, as
we win some, we lose some.
We miss some and we mess with some. So enjoy your journey and play it to the fullest.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Dream 100 Show and leave a review.
Share your biggest takeaways with us and follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. This is Savita
and Gunjan signing off. Catch you soon in our next episode.